Alrighty, welcome back to my channel. Change of scenery here. Sitting in my car, just got out of Half Price Books and had to share the haul. Got a couple of good ones here, some unforeseen gems that I've picked up. Got 4 of them to walk through. But first, anyone else do this? As soon as they sit in their car, they take all the stickers off the Half Price Books and put them on the receipt and then crumple it up. It's like a thing. I don't know why I do that, but I do. Crumple it up so I'm not doing it the whole time. Got a coffee as well, although I think they messed up the order. It sort of tastes like dishwater. Unfortunately, there's a lady backing up right next to me. She's looking right at me. Thankfully, my car is tinted enough so that you can't really see in during this time of day. In my own little cocoon. But anyways, let's kick things off with the Half Price Books book haul. It's January, which means the first of the 10% off coupons for the end of year sale last year is in effect. If you guys didn't know, they did some promotion. If you spent $30 or more in December at one time, they would give you a stack of coupons to use for the next year. Just 10% off, and you got like one per month for the next year. So just use my January one. Well, one of my January ones, because I spent $30 twice there because I'm a degenerate. So let's get into it. First things first. This is Black Sun by Edward Abbey. And most of these books I know nothing about. I was just sort of going in, guns blazing. And I actually picked this one up because it was the reason I picked it up, first and foremost, because it was the first one on the shelf. I thought that would be pretty cool. Obviously with the last name Abbey, organized alphabetically, it was the first one sitting there on the shelf, so I just picked it up. Actually sounded interesting. It's sort of it says it's a bittersweet love story, which if you've seen my first video, I talk about a bittersweet love story in Heaven Has No Favorites by Eric Remarque, and that was one of my favorite books of 2024. So equal or a decently short book, probably similar length to Heaven Has No Favorites, and a bittersweet love story involving a iconoclastic forest ranger and an American princess. Interesting. So we'll see what that's about. Usually nature books are up my alley, but I remember, and I have recently read Into the Wild by Joan Krakauer. I read it in like middle school. Same with Hatchet by Gary Paulson. I read those 2 last year and quite liked them. Obviously this may be a bit more R-rated than that. With it being a love story, there's some, just reading it now, not in the store, this might get a little hot and heavy in the woods. Alrighty. Kicking off 2025 with a bang then. Up next, sticker sort of peeled off the cover of it because it's a cheap edition. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, obviously a classic in my quest to read more classics currently. And yeah, I've heard this is just sort of like a funny book for the time that it was written, and still is, obviously. I don't really know a whole lot about this. I know it says it opens up with one of the most famous sentences in English literature. Let's see. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we'll see how this one rocks and rolls. Nothing but good things. Obviously, it's still in print to this day. It was written in the 1790s, I believe. So yeah, 200 some odd years later. And this will sort of kick off my Jane Austen portfolio of her works. All right, back on theme with unhinged book pickups. This is Thank You for Smoking by Christopher Buckley. And I picked it up because it was sitting on the shelf and it said, "Thank you for smoking." And I was like, that's an insane title. What is this about? Essentially, it's about a tobacco company salesperson as he goes around trying to market cigarettes to the public. And it eventually turns into he becomes like a main target for anti-tobacco terrorists, it says, and the FBI. It says, in a country where half the people want to outlaw pleasure and the other half want to sell you a disease, what will become of the original Puff Daddy? I assume that's in like cigarettes, not vapes. Yeah, looks like it was written before the time of people vaping it and whatnot. And it was made into a movie by Fox. So, another shorty as well. This should be a good one, I'm hoping. It says savagely funny, which I love a funny book. And that will be a good one to read eventually. The way I sort of go about books is I may not read them this month or next month or 3 months from now or 3 years from now, but I know eventually I will like them, or I know I like them, and eventually I will read them. And so whenever I'm in the mood to pick up this, they all sounded up my alley, then I'll have them. And that's sort of in an effort to read more books as a pastime instead of like doom scrolling on my phone or playing video games. If I just have a lot of books that I know I like, I can pick one up and Bob's your uncle, get to reading. Now this last one here is probably the one I'm most excited for. It is called $3 by Elliot Perlman, who is a Australian writer, and that resonated with me in the sense that one of the first books sorry, the sun is, let me fix that. Much better. Modern technology. Anywho, where was I? Australian writer struck a chord with me in the sense that one of my first books that I read way back when, 18 months ago, was a nonfiction book by an Australian YouTuber who I actually liked, and still sort of keep up with him. His name is Beau Miles, if any of you have heard of him. Maybe I'll link his channel down in the description here. And he does a bunch of like outdoorsy videos. He just sort of like flies by the seat of his pants and does whatever the heck he wants. He's a real adventurer, and his book is called The Backyard Adventurer. It sort of goes in detail as to sort of the production of all of his YouTube videos that he made, as well as other expeditions that he goes on that he didn't quite make a video of before he was in his YouTube era. And I really liked that book. It was sort of a collection of short stories in a sense. Each chapter was its own like video, so to speak, and I liked it. Suffice it to say, Australian humor is similar in a sense to like English or British humor, and that it's very dry, very witty, and I really resonate with that, having some English heritage. And this book $3 is about a man stuck, I think he's in his 30s. There's no blurb on the back, so I looked it up on Goodreads just to sort of see what it was about first. It has 100 reviews or something, so maybe I'll start a new trend with this book. But essentially it's about a man in his 30s, and he's trying his best in the corporate world, sort of feels burnt out, and he's trying to not lose his sense of humor that he values and people around him value. And so it's just very dry, very witty. It just sort of details his life, day-to-day activities that he goes about as a single man, and some bad dates he goes on, and things of that nature. And so I think this will be right up my alley. And sort of relating it back to one of my, maybe this isn't the one, no, but one of my favorite books of last year being Us. Yeah, I think the humor will sort of almost rhyme with that book, and hopefully it should be a good time. And also it just looks pretty sweet. I don't know why, but I like that cover. So yeah, that is $3 by Elliot Perlman. Alrighty. And I also, in my escapade, I brought along The Count of Monte Cristo, still chunking through that. Made some progress last night, although it doesn't look like it. Read about 50 pages of it and listening to the audiobook in the car as I'm out and about today. There's going to be a car crash. Someone's backing up and they don't, okay. Crisis averted for now. But yeah, these are the 4 books that I went and got today with my 10% off coupon, and it being half price books. They're basically free, is what I'm telling myself, so no harm, no foul. And it makes up for my coffee tasting like dirt. Maybe not fully. Maybe I'll go get a good coffee from home or something. But yeah, appreciate everyone sticking around up until now. Let me know if you like these sort of, I don't know, FaceTime-esque book haul videos. Maybe I can do just one whenever I go to Half Price Books again, because I got 2 coupons a month. And Lord knows I ain't wasting those. So maybe I'll just do them every time then. That'll be pretty cool. But yeah, appreciate everyone watching, sticking around up until this point. Thanks for all the likes, comments, subscriptions on that first video. I woke up to having 250 views. Hello, that's pretty crazy. And 20 likes. I know for damn sure my mom didn't make 20 accounts and like that video, so I appreciate everyone showing support. Anyways, we'll catch you all soon. Bye for now.